Okay, setting a proper motivation with 3 points. Refuge field, which Buddha Shakyamuni, His Holiness the Dalai Lama, and all the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas in front of you. The space in front of you. And how you visualize them. They're like very affectionate parents. And Bodhicitta field, what to visualize and how to visualize. You put 2 parents on the 2 sides, and all the dear mothers and beings around you. And how you visualize them. You're the mother in this case, and all others are like your children. They come home demoralized, and you are there to give full love, affection, attention, and so forth. And the purpose of this practice is to discover the ultimate source of happiness within us. It is only temporarily obscured by the mental defilements, and cleansing of the mental defilements, cleansing of this mind of the mental defilements will make you to manifest the ultimate source of happiness which everyone seeks. So there's a purpose, and for that matter, we must engage in ways and means to inculcate the remedies to overcome the mental defilements. And the remedies are nothing other than the wisdom of emptiness, grounded or motivated, driven by the force of bodhicitta, and which in turn is grounded on the sense of renunciation, wanting to be freed from samsara, wanting to be freed from all the miseries. That is renunciation. So with this mind, and you are leading this, and all your dear mothers and sentient beings, including your 2 parents, and everyone is joining you happily, and all the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, they are with us, the observing, the witnessing what we're doing. Okay, page 3. Enthused by great compassion, you taught the Immaculate Dharma to dispel all perverted views. To you, the Buddha Gautama, I pay homage. Enthused by great compassion, you taught the Immaculate Dharma to dispel all perverted views. To you, the Buddha Gautama, I pay homage. Enthused by great compassion, you taught the Immaculate Dharma to dispel all perverted views. To you, the Buddha Gautama, I pay homage. Kange doze nirzo ne tawa tamje bambe chire tambe chune tenzen ba godam de la chase lo. Independent origination, there is no ceasing, no arising, no annihilation, no permanence, no coming, no going, no separateness, and no sameness. I prostrate to the consequent Buddha, the Supreme among all teachers, one who taught this peace which is freed of elaborations. Kange nenjen de wajo, gaba me ba, che me ba, da, che ba me ba, da me ba, uma me ba, cho me ba, ta de me, dunje me, che ba nirje she den ba, zobe sanje ma nam ke, damba de la cha se lo. I prostrate to the mothers of the hearers, the bodhisattvas and the Buddhas, who through the knowledge of all these hearers seeking pacification, complete peace, who through the knowledge of past causes those having migrated to achieve the aims of the world, and who through the possession of omniscience help subduers expound a variety of teachings. Yendo jiva so nam gunje nige nishi chinze kayen da, dola penpara che nam lam che nik, Kiden dundu zeba han, handa yanda dembe, tupna namba kunde naso de son. Yende chanju zembe soje sanje gene yunda la cha se lo. The one who has transformed into the reliable guide, motivated by altruism to benefit sentient beings, the teacher, Sugata, and protector to your illustrations. Chemara Yoruba Dola Pensheba, Dumba Deshe Gabla Chaselo. The one who has eliminated the web conceptualizations and is endowed with the divine bodies of the vast and the profound, who eternally shines forth the forever noble light rays to you, the Buddha, make prostrations. Tobe Tawa Namze Jing, Sabje Gyaje Gungawa, Gundo Sambo Eset, Gunne Chola Chazelo. I go for refuge until I'm enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, the Sangha, by my accumulations through practice of giving and so forth. May I become a Buddha to benefit all sentient beings. I go for refuge until I'm enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, the Sangha, by my accumulations through practice of giving and so forth. May I become a Buddha to benefit all sentient beings. I go for refuge until I'm enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, the Sangha, by my accumulations through practice of giving and so forth. May I become a Buddha to benefit all sentient beings. Sangye Jula Soge Chona Tane Gyabsu Je Dage Jinso Yebe Sonamge Dola Penjir Sangye Dubaran Shom Sangye Choda Soge Chona Chanju Bardo Dane Gyabsu Je Dage Jinso Yebe Sonamge Dola Penjir Sangye Dubaran Shom Sangye Jola Soge Chonamla Chanjo Bardo Dane Gyabsu Je Dage Jinso Gebe Sonam Jola Benjir Sangye Dubaresho. Inspired by wisdom and compassion, today in the Buddha's presence I chant the book for the benefit of all sentient beings. Om Ye Dharma Deshan Tathagato Yavatat Deshan Jayo Nirodha Evam Bhati Mahashramanaye Swaha. Om Ye Dharma Hetu Prabhava Hetum Deshan Tathagato Yavatat Deshan Chayo Nirodha Evam Bhati Mahashramanaye Swaha. Om Ye Dharma Hetu Prabhava Deshan Tathagato Yavatat Deshan Chayo Nirodha Evam Bhati Mahashramanaye Swaha. All phenomena arise from causes. The causes are taught by the Tathagata. The cessation of causes as well as taught by the great seer. Profound, peaceful, elaboration-free, clear light and non-composite. Such is the nectar-like dharma I've discovered. Finding no one to fathom this teaching, in silence I retire into the words. Sabji Dode Sedu Maje, Duze Tabu Cheshi Kuonye, Sula Sheyang Kuara Menebe, Mema Nage Nasu Nebaracha. Beyond utterance, thought and expression is the professional wisdom, which is unborn, unseasoned, and has the nature of space. Is the ultimate apprehension of self-realized wisdom. To you, the mother of the Buddhas, of the 3 times I will be obeisance. Vasanje me shera paruje magin Sozorari yeshe chupa Dezom geve yomla chaselo. The Guru is the Buddha, the Guru is the Dharma, likewise the Guru is the Sangha, the Guru is the source of all our refuge in the book Guru. Lama Sangye Lama Che, Deshin Lama Gendunde, Kunge Chebo Lama, Lama Namla Jazelo. By the sound of vibrant drum of Dharma, please liberate all beings of miseries. I beseech you to kindly remain and give teachings until the end of expansive billions of aeons. Shama Jimbo Jayene, Simja Dunga Targeshin, Keva Jeva Samyesu, Chudin Zejin Shusu. The Buddha does not watch the negativities of beings, nor does he remove their miseries by his hands. His spiritual realizations are not transferred to them. It's by the teaching and the truth of suchness that the beings are liberated. Tonam Deva Chui Me Choshin, Druga Dunga Chage Me Sela, Nige Toba Shena Pominde, Chunye Demba Dembe Trubara Yuru. With folded hands I beseech the Buddhas of all directions to shine the light of Dharma for all bewildered miseries glow. Chönam Gunge Sanya Ma, Temo Jade Soani, Simje Dunge Mendomna, Chuge Drume Pardus. If you attach to this line, you are not a spiritual practitioner. If you attach to samsara, you have no renunciation. If you attach to your own self-interest, you have no bodhicitta. If there is grasping, you do not have the view. Okay, say the next page, page 8. Say Dila Shena Cheba Min, Korwa La Shena Nijun Min, Randuna Shena Chanse Min, Zimba Chuna Tawa Min. Okay, the page 19 in praise to the 1700 Masters, Sun illuminating the threefold faith. Born from great compassion, aspiring to help all beings, God of gods, you have attained the Savior state of abandonment and realization. And you guide beings through the discourse of dependent origination. O able one, the son of speech, I bow my head to you. I implore you to feed O Nagarjuna, most skilled in elucidating sustenance, free of elaborations, the meaning of sutras, the mother of conquerors. Through the profound reasoning of dependent origination, in accord with the conqueror's prophecy, you initiated the middle way, the supreme vehicle. I implore you to your principal son, Bodhisattva Arideva, most learned and realized, who has crossed the ocean of Buddhist and non-Buddhist tenet systems. That is the crown jewel among those who uphold Nagarjuna's treatises. I implore you, O Buddha Palita, who has reached the supreme adept state and who has clearly elucidated Nagarjuna's intent, the founding meaning of dependent origination, the profound point of mere designation and its mere label. I implore you, O Master of Power Viveka, fully accomplished Pandita, who initiated the philosophical tradition wherein, while negating extremes of truly existent things, arising so forth, we uphold commonly verified knowledge and external reality. I implore you, O Chandrakirti, who disseminated all the powers of Sutra and Tantra, the most skilled in teaching the profound and the vast aspects of the middle way, the union of appearance and emptiness dispelling the two extremes, by means of dependent origination, that is mere conditionality. Skilled at revealing to the assembly of unfortunate spiritual trainees the excellent power of compassion that is greatly wondrous, through a multitude of reasoning most profound and vast. I implore you, O Master Abhat Chandarakshita, who initiated the tradition of the non-dual in accordance with the trainee's mental disposition. You are versed in the reasoning modes of both middle way and logic, and you have disseminated the conqueror's teaching in the land of snows. I implore you at your feet, O Kamalashila, you who, having explained excellently the stages of meditation of the middle way view, free of elaborations, and the union of tranquility and insight in accordance with the Sutra and the Tantra, Congress teaching in the land of snows. I implore you at your feet, O Asanga, you who, sustained by Maitreya, were versed in disseminating excellently all Mahayana scriptures, and taught the vast path, and who, in accord with the conqueror's prophecy, initiated the traditional mind only. I implore you at your feet, O Master Vasubandhu, you who, while upholding the systems of the seven Abhidhamma treatises, as well as non-duality, illuminated the tenets of Vaibhashika, Sautantrika, and mind only. For most of us learned ones, you are renowned as the second omniscient one. I implore you at your feet, O Dignaka, the magician, you who, in order to present the Buddha's way through evidence-based reasoning, open 100-fold gateways of the system of logic and offer it as a gift. O Dharmakirti, you who, understanding all the essential points of both Buddhist and non-Buddhist epistemology, brought conviction in all the profound and vast powers of Sautantrika and mind only by means of reasoning. You are most versed in teaching the excellent Dharma. I implore you at your feet, O Arya Vimuktisena, you who lit the lamp that illuminates the meaning of the ornament treatise, wherein the themes of the professional wisdom stemming from a Sangha and his brother were expounded in accordance with the middle view free of existence or non-existence. I implore you, O Master Haribhatra, who were prophesied by the conqueror as the expounder of the meaning of the mother, the professional wisdom, you elucidated the excellent treatise of the professional wisdom, the three mothers, in perfect accord with the instruction of the Savior Maitreya. I implore you at your feet, O Gunaprabha, most excellent both in integrity and scholarship, who having excellently distilled the intent of 100,000 disciplinary teachings, expounded the individual liberation vows flawlessly according to the tradition of the Sarvastivada school. I implore you at your feet, O Shakyaprabha, supreme upholder of discipline, who reign over the treasury of the qualities of the trainings.
In order to disseminate the saints and divine teachings for a long time, you excellently expounded the meaning of the last treatises.
I implore you, O Jyotisha, you who, having taught all the profound and the vast traditions related to the words of the Buddha, within the framework of part of persons of three capacities, were the most kind master of disseminating the Buddha's teaching in the land of snows. Having thus entreated these most learned ornaments of the world, excellent sources of wondrous and insightful teaching, may I be blessed so that my mind becomes ripe and free. Through the entreaty I am made with a mind unwavering and pure, by understanding the two truths, the ontological reality, will be ascertained how through the four truths we enter and leave samsara. I make firm the faith in three jewels that is born of valid reason. May I be blessed so that the root of the path of liberation is firmly established within me. May I be blessed to perfect the training in renunciation and aspiration for liberation, the total pacification of suffering at its origin, as well as in an uncontrived bodhicitta that is rooted in an infinite compassion that wishes to protect all sentient beings. May I be blessed so that I may easily develop conviction in all the paths pertaining to the profound points of the perfection of Vajra vehicle, by engaging in study, reflection, and meditation on the meaning of the treatises of the Great 12 Blazers. May I in the life after life obtain excellent births that support the three trainings, and contribute to the teachings that equals the Great 12 Blazers, in upholding and disseminating the teaching of scripture and realization, through engaging in exposition and meditative practice. May the members of all spiritual communities spend their time in learning, reflection, and meditation, shedding wrong livelihood through the proliferation of sublime masters. May the great face of the earth be beautified throughout all times. May it traverse all the paths of Sutra and Tantra and swiftly attain the state of conquerors of nations, characterized by spontaneous realization of the two purposes. May it work for the welfare of sentient beings as long as space remains. Okay, Heart Sutra Mantra. Om Tati Gati Samgati Bodhisvahatyata Om Gati Gati Paragati Parasamgati 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 Bodhisvatyata Om Gati Gati Paragati Parasamgati Bodhisvatyata Om Gati Gati Paragati Parasamgati Bodhisvatyata. Okay, now we will read the foundation of all good qualities, page 39. Okay, particularly saying we being a part of the Nalanda Master's course, we are more to say systematically studying these texts and being very fortunate to be part of such the very systematic and also go into more detail, into depth. For these people, when we read the foundation of all good qualities, we should be able to feel that yes, indeed, this is a part, this is the foundation for all our growth, spiritual growth, and this is how I should be growing. These are none of these points mentioned here in this the text, but highly realized, revered as the second Buddha, the Lama Tsongkhapa. So how that really makes sense to us, that none of the points indicated there can be compromised. So this is what we must get the feeling, and only if you get a feeling that this is something which I need to have, in the complete form, without compromising with anything, then we're getting a comprehensive picture of the Buddha's teaching, practice of the picture of the practice that you're following, and in other words, the comprehensive picture of how to be wisely kind towards oneself. Okay, this is so important. With this mind, let's slowly read this. The foundation for all good qualities is a kind and perfect pure Guru. Correct devotion to him is the root of the path. By clearly seeing this and applying great effort, please bless me to rely upon him with great respect. Understanding that the precious freedom of this rebirth is found only once, is greatly meaningful and is difficult to find again. Please bless me to generate the mind that unceasingly day and night takes its essence. This life is as impermanent as a water bubble. Remember how quickly it decays and death comes. After death, just like a shadow follows the body, the results of virtues and non-virtues come and follow. Finding firm and definite conviction in this. Please bless me always to be careful, to abandon even the slightest negativity and accomplish all virtuous deeds. Some such splendors are unsatisfying and unreliable. Seeking them is the door to all suffering. Recognizing these shortcomings, please bless me to generate a strong wish for the bliss of liberation. Led by this pure thought, mindfulness, alertness, and great question arise. The root of the teaching is keeping the Pratimoksha vows. Please bless me to accomplish this essential practice. Just as I've fallen into the sea of samsara, so for all mother migratory beings, please bless me to see this, train in supreme bodhicitta, and bear the responsibility of freeing migratory beings. Even if developed bodhicitta, but I don't practice the three types of morality, I'll not achieve enlightenment. With my clear recognition of this, please bless me to practice the Bodhisattva vow with great energy. Once I pacify distractions with all objects and correctly analyze the meaning of reality, please bless me to generate quickly with the mind stream the unified path of karma abiding especially inside. Having become a pure vessel by training in the general path, please bless me to enter the holy gateway of the fortunate ones, the Supreme Vajra vehicle. At that time, the basis of accomplishing the two attainments is keeping pure vows and samaya. As I become firmly convinced of this, please bless me to protect these vows and pleasures of my life. Then, having realized the importance of the two stages, the essence of Vajrayana, by practicing with great energy, never giving up the 4 sessions, Please bless me that I realize the teachings of the Holy Guru. Like that, may the Guru who shows the noble path and the spiritual friends who practice their long lives, please bless me to pacify completely without any inner hindrances. And all my lives never separated from perfect Gurus, may enjoy the magnificent Dharma by completing the qualities of the stages of the past, may could attain the spirit of Vajradhara. Okay, we'll say this together. Okay, we'll do it maybe on Sunday. Okay, I think we're on page 67. 66. 66 or 67? 67, right? We finished the definition of the ultimate truth and the conventional truth. Right? Okay. Okay, so just another angle that I'd like to share with you of the two truths. So from this we speak about conventional truth and ultimate truth. In the first place, we need to understand what is meant by convention, what is meant by ultimate. Now, say, to express this in a very simple terms, let's say that somebody, there's an individual person who does not have any flaw, who is empty of flaw, empty of mistakes. And then, because of, say, somebody else who doesn't like this, who is the say enemy or the rivalry against the person, then just say spreads a very bad name for the person A. And then you first get an impression of the person A. You meet the person A, okay, this person like this, all these things happening. Then it so happens that you have to be with the person. You have to be with the person for like months, years, 2 years, 3 years. Then you come to, do you think that if you are going to be with that person for like 5 years together, or every day together, do you think that you're going to get a good picture of the person, full picture of the person, or not? Yes. So conventionally, the answer is yes. So then you discover that no, the person is very different, the person is so kind, very helpful, and say the person is empty of the flaws. So which is reality? The first impression that you get, or the first impression you get of the person, or the impression that you get after 5 years of being with the person. Which of the two impressions reflects the reality? Second, what is the second impression? That the person is empty of flaws. We're getting it? So that's reality, empty of flaw. Likewise, we get impression because of the self-grasping ignorance. Since time immemorial till now, we have always been informed by the self-grasping ignorance that things exist truly, things exist independently. This is information that we have been getting. And then we have been trusting the self-grasping ignorance, and then not only trust in the daytime, also in the nighttime we trust the self-grasping ignorance. So whole day, night, 24 hours, 24/7, we believe in this self-grasping ignorance, thinking that everything exists truly. Now, say being acquainted with this teaching on the true truths, with Aranagarjuna's teachings, Acharya Chandrakriti's teachings, and then we go to the Buddha's teachings, finally. But with some people say that Aranagarjuna, Acharya Chandrakriti are Gilupa. Yeah, they are Gilupa, this is what they say. This I don't understand it. Okay, this is wrong. So therefore, we need to understand what Aranagarjuna said. Acharya Chandra said. If you say that, okay, following Aranigarjuna Acharya Chandra, this is Nalanda tradition, then that's fine. That's fine. We can take pride in it. But if it is Girupa, this is very pathetic. The person doesn't know that Girupa happened only in 14th century. And Aranigarjuna happened in 1st century AD. There's a gap of like how many years? 1,400 years. No, 2,000. Huh? 1,300.
1,300 years. 13 centuries.
Okay, like 13, like say 1,300, 1,400 years gap. Okay, so this is pathetic. So now the point is that say, so when you realize, after being exposed to the incredible great legacies led by the great Indian teachers like Aranigarjuna, Acharya Chandra, and so forth, then it is like you are slowly getting used to the truth. You are being with the truth more closely, like you being with that person more closely for 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years. Now you know the person inside out. Likewise, with exposure of the Narada Master's teachings, then you are exposed towards the reality more closely. So that reality presented by Aranigarjuna and how the self-centered, self-grasping ignorance has been informing us of the reality. These two are very contradictory. Now, being with Aranigarjuna's writings, Acharya Chandra with these writings more closely, then you see these writings, they actually provide us. They provide us the mirror, very clear mirror to see what exactly is there with me. So likewise, with this mirror, to show how things really exist. And then, say, you come to learn that, okay, things really don't exist the way they appear. The possibility from your side, you as the judge, between the self-grasping ignorance who has been providing you with the information that things exist truly all the time. And on the other hand, we have Aranigarjuna, the Buddha Shakyamuni, Aranigarjuna, Acharya Chandra, and these great masters saying that nothing exists truly. So you are being the judge. And then you be exposed to the reality more closely for the first time. That one says that things exist objectively, other says that things exist subjectively, right? So things exist objectively, okay, you're already familiar. This is how we have been since time immemorial till now. Now, with exposure to the second camp, saying that nothing exists truly, everything is subjectively. So that we tend to discover now. That is the new way of looking at things coming to us, given to provided to us by the second camp. So from this we come to know that nothing really exists from the object. From the objects is all empty. Is all empty. Like coming to being with the person A for 5 years, we come to know that all the allegations made right from the beginning against this person A is all just baseless. From the person is flawless. There's no problem there. Right? Likewise, from the object, there's nothing really there. All the self-grasping is set and everything is object. That's all false. It's not true. So the reality is that from the object, there's nothing really there. That's the reality. Emptiness of objective existence. That's the reality. Right? That's the reality. So if that's the reality, from the object, if nothing really exists, then how do things exist? Things exist subjectively, right? So there's one, but I tell you how the mode of existence, how things exist from the object. That's all empty from the object. That's the ultimate truth. Then how do things exist then? If they don't exist from the object side, they all exist subjectively. On that basis, then the conventional truth is posited. Convention meaning the thought process. How the thought process contribute to the existence of things. Right? So things coming into being by the power of the subjectivity, on that basis, then the conventional truth is posited. Things, how from the object side is all empty. From that basis, ultimate truth is posited. So both are talking about the same object from two different angles. One from the object side, one from the subject side. From the object side, that things don't exist, that is the ultimate truth. From the subject side, that everything exists, is the conventional truth. And the more detailed explanation we will study while studying the Madhyamika Avatar. Okay, so this is one thing that we need to keep in mind. This is so important. So important. Without this understanding, that from the object side nothing really exists. Without this understanding, that the whole basis for liberation stops. And then without this understanding, if the liberation is not possible, then the Buddhahood is too far away from the realization. So therefore, this concept is so precious, so precious. It is for this reason that Bodhisattva Shantideva, in his book, Guided Bodhisattva's Way of Life, chapter 9, in the end, he concluded with a prayer that how with the wealth, with the accumulation of my merit, that this merit allows me to teach how things don't exist objectively, how things are empty of objective existence, to the beings who are under the sway, who are under the deception of the self-grasping ignorance. This is what he made a very strong prayer. Okay, this is so important. Okay, so all what we are learning here as a part of the Nanded Master's course should all be somehow, whether directly or indirectly, be ways and means for us to introduce to this concept that nothing really exists objectively, all coming from the part of your own mind. Okay, and then on that basis is a matter of the familiarization. We need to say how good you are in a painting, right? How good you are in painting, how good you are in music, how good you are in football, how good you are in, say, the quantum physics, relativity theory, and so forth. And finally, once you know the thing, then how fluent you are, how expert you are. So that all depends on the practice. So therefore, say the fluency of the wisdom and emptiness finally will be determined by the practice. And for practice, by the very definition of practice means you need time. Time is the greatest factor. So we need time. And that time, let us not wait. That okay, let me first finish another master's course, and then I have other jobs to do. Let me finish those things, and then I'll become age 60, 70. Then I will do. So when you're 50, you say, when I become 60, I will do it. Then slowly you reach 60. When you say 60, you're young. Then you think that when I get 50, 70, I will do it. I heard this so many times. Right? Yeah, I don't want to mention the name. There was one who was, I think, was in 50s that time. And said, okay, I'll practice Dharma when I reach 60s. And already 60s, still very active. Okay, then I'll do it when 70s. Right? 70 also maintaining good physical health. Then 70 is also healthy. Then I'll do it when I'm 80s. Right? Okay, this is how we deceive ourselves. The point is only a matter of practice. And then this is so good. The mundane examples is so good. Say somebody who is into the music. Every day the person has to practice. Right? Even the painting. Every day the person has to practice. And in fact, I have my personal experience of the calligraphy. I don't know whether I've shared this in the class. Once, when I was in school, I think class, when I was like 16, 17, when I was finishing my high school, I saw my name written somewhere in my room on a piece of paper, and the word handwriting is just extraordinary beautiful. It simply attracted my eyes there. I cannot leave it. And I thought that it was written by my teacher, Venerable Geshe Bhamadujila. And I checked with him. He was the hospital warden at that time. He said, no, I did not write it. And I was so fascinated, who must have written this? So beautiful. And then my handwriting was also considered to be very good handwriting. I write it and it is not at all that attractive. It does not have that same, by no means I can say that that handwriting, if I to really pinpoint what's the difference there. Physically I cannot pinpoint the difference. But you see it and there's a contrast there. So this was what I noticed. Then I joined IBD, Institute of Buddhist Dialectics, about 6 years. Then I went to Demolosla Monastery. So Demolosla Monastery, there the younger ones, they come to get the handwriting samples from me. So I used to give handwriting samples. Given the samples, I had to write with this utmost care. And to my surprise, after about a few months, then what I wrote came up with this glow. The same thing which happened when I was in school. The same thing happened there. Then I got a deep conviction that practice makes perfection, gives perfection. It is only through practice. So practice means the greatest factor involved in the practice is time. So we need time. We need time. Say, if you are with the, for example, with the calligraphy, when you're in your say 20s, 30s, average 20s, 30s, that would be the best time. Even for the sprinters, athletes, sprinters, that's the best time. Within the sprint, within that, there are some categories like running, then with the throwing the shot put, and then throwing the discus. Okay, so they discuss the shot put. So there, age should be like say 35 plus. For the running, age 20, 19, 20, 21, 22. There's difference. Okay. Likewise, what for the emptiness? Meditation. Okay, emptiness meditation, because that it is not physical, it is mental, every age is good. Right? Every age is good. But, which is better? Say, wait till 50, 60 years? Or start from now? Start from now, it's better. Far better. Because it is pretty long journey. And it has so many facets to cover. There are so many facets to visit. Right? As you go there, so many landscapes to visit. Experience of emptiness, so many landscapes are there to be visited. Only through practice, so with the intellectual inquiry, study, reflection, these two are the basics. These two must be there. Without these two things, then the emptiness meditation is impossible. Right? However, let's say, many gurus touch your head, bless you, and tomorrow, wow, everything is empty of objective existence, everything is dreamlike. It's impossible. So the ground is the study and reflection. This is so important. With these two things intact, then the practice meditation. It is so precious. Okay, it's a little digression. Okay, ancillary topics, page 67. Further, they assert past, now the 3 times, past, future, and disintegration as functional phenomena. Okay, little, say, both the regular students as well as the online participants say there could be slight variations Okay, by the way, first thing that the clarification is required, what is the clarification required, is that this book are translated from a Tibetan source, and within the Tibetan source we see that there are variations. There are slight variations here and there. Okay, so if anyone does find a variation, feel free to bring it. Feel free to give it, provide it to our coordinator, the Bishla. It doesn't mean that this is right, that the other one is right. We have to check the original Tibetan, and within that there could be variations. But we have to always deal with the variations with respect, not critically. So because this study is very different, finally, with a critical thought process, there's always a feeling of, my version is correct and your version is wrong. So this thought divides, creates a split between I and you, and automatically adherence to the I and aversion to others. And with these two things, all the negative emotions arise, and the contemporary karmas afflict the created, and because which the misery is perpetuated. So the whole purpose of this study is defeated in the process. So we have to cast aside our critical thinking. I say critical meaning, not really critical thinking, I should say, and say more like in the form of criticism. So say for example, something can be wrong. It doesn't matter. Just point it out. There's I think from my point of view, this is a mistake there, but I'm not too sure whether this is a mistake, but please check it. You can check with the, and then I see something there in this book, in that book, and so forth. So these things may not necessarily, it can be even discussed among the participants. Amongst the participants, you can discuss amongst yourself, and if there's a major problem there, then it can come to the board or come to the coordinator and come to me. Then you can do these things. So the point is that variations are bound to be there because the original Tibetan, there's a variation there. Okay. And then another thing that I want to share with you is that and the same book, there are commentaries, and the commentaries you read the commentaries. Because there's a variation in commentaries, it doesn't mean that the root text should be altered. Even there could be mistakes in the commentaries, but commentators, there could be mistakes. I'm saying this once more. There could be mistakes. Once it did happen, I don't want to go into detail. I read a commentary, English commentary, then I spotted something, and then I sent it to the person who was involved with the writing the commentary, and the person so kindly acknowledged that and said it so nicely that had it been the case that even if there's a small part on the basis of which I can hold to the way of interpretation, I would defend myself, but I don't see any basis there, so I surrender. This is what he said. I'm not going to mention the name, right? So the point is that commentaries, there could be slight errors here and there. It doesn't matter. These are all these scholarly discussions. It doesn't matter. So the point is that should you find variations in the translation, in the root text of the root text, then you can bring them up, but with a tremendous respect to to the author. As I said earlier, there's always a variations found because the text, say how many years, maybe for a few centuries, it passed down and is reprinted. Every time there's reprint happening, there's bound to be the typos newly, entered. Okay. Now this is a very important point. The three times, as per the lower schools. Okay, the times, let me say like this. Say the Buddhist schools were Vashika, Sautantaka Chinamatra, Madhyamika. Within Madhyamika, Sautantaka Madhyamika, Svatantrika Madhyamika, and Prasangika. Okay.
Now what we do is that many times, just for information, many times when it comes to the philosophical presentations on philosophical points, that what is considered in the steps of the philosophical schools. What's the first one? What's the top one? Vaibhashik, the first one and the top Prasanga. Oftentimes these two come together. Oftentimes these two agree, and others will fall into one group, and these two will come into one group. Oftentimes. Now with the concept of time again is very strange. Vaibhashika and Prasanga, these two go into one camp. These two agree on many points, and the rest agree the other way. Okay, with time, if you remember what we learned earlier, past, present, and future. 3. Say what was being said by the other schools. The Sautantrika, Chittamantra, Svatantrika Madhyamika, these 3 schools, they said that past and future are permanent phenomena. Only present is the impermanent phenomena. Past and future are permanent. Now, Vaibhashika and Prasangika are saying that all 3 times are impermanent. And Vaibhashika and Prasanga agree to this. All 3 times are impermanent. Past is also impermanent, future is also impermanent, on top of present. Right? Okay. And the past, how it was explained, how the past and the future, how explained by the other schools, particularly, say, the Sautantra school. So that is something which we can bring up here, how that is understood. The disintegratedness of the phenomena. So the disintegratedness is the past. So this disintegratedness, the other schools say that it is a permanent phenomena, whereas Vaibhashika and Prasangika say that it is impermanent phenomena. Okay, this is what we need to keep in mind. And then it says, and further explained, a very beautiful explanation was given by Lama Tsongkhapa in the commentary on Madhyamika Avatar. What is that? Uma Gombar of Sel, the commentary on Acharya Chandrakirti's text. Uma Gombar of Sel, clay intent, illuminating the clay intent. Okay, Gombar of Sel. So if you learn this in Tibetan, Gombar of Sel, this is easy. Gombar of Sel is a commentary which Lama Tsongkhapa wrote as a commentary on Acharya Chandrakirti's text. What is Acharya Chandrakirti's text? Madhyamika Avatar. In Tibetan we call it Uma Jukpa. Umala Jukpa, Uma Jukpa. Right? Uma Jukpa. Okay, Uma Jukpa is the Acharya Chandrakirti's text, Madhyamika Avatar, and Uma Gombar of Sel is Lama Tsongkhapa's commentary. Okay, so Lama Tsongkhapa very beautifully explained that this disintegratedness, which is past, is impermanent, and it is also is affirming negative. Is affirming. Okay, these additional things, just listen to this, and if you feel, oh, these are just too technical, don't worry, just listen. Your job is to listen. And if you find it interesting, welcome. If you don't find it interesting, just listen. Your job, and then ignore. Listen and pay attention to this, and the next moment, if it disappears on its own, let it disappear. It doesn't matter. Right? Don't worry. Okay, so many technical things, don't worry. Right? There are a few points which I would emphasize that this is something we must take care of. These you have to really take care of. Otherwise, you just listen and don't put effort to discard them. Just listen, and if they get discarded on their own, let it be discarded. Right? Don't worry that you have to have them everything. Right? Eventually, simply by implanting the seed, what happens is that next time Next time, again the same topic comes. It's so easy, right? In fact, just, was it yesterday? I think yesterday, yeah. Yesterday there was the French girl who is doing London Master's course, and she met me. And she said that the first time all these technical things come in, she attended the Root Institute Bodhicitta retreat. So the first time she was attending Buddhist philosophy teachings, very sophisticated, and she was so tired. She felt it's too technical for me. It's not really for me. And then, then she joined the Narada Master's course, and then again very technical. But then once yesterday she said that you said, but in one of the classes, that don't worry, just listen and forget. You said it, and it really saved her, and she did it like this: listen to it and don't forget. Just don't worry that whether I should be registering all these things in my mind. No, just forget it. And then the same point. Then recently she attended His Holiness's teachings and some other teachings, and she realized that of all the participants there, she was the one who had so many questions to ask pertaining to emptiness. And people around, again going more into ritual, ritual, recitation, chant, these people, they were so fascinated. How come that you learned so much? And she said that she was the same person a year ago, no, 2 years ago. Same person who would ask the other person, how come that you learn so much? Now people tell her, how come that you learn so much? She said, it's all because it's just, just never giving up. Keep going there and don't worry that I'm not being able to register. Don't worry. Your job is just listen to it, pay attention to this at that moment, and then just let it go like this. Keep going. And even if nothing really you think that something is registered, just fine, keep it like this, don't worry. Your job is keep continuing. And then later on, the next batch comes, right? And then you just keep watching these people. Then you will see that, oh no, that's good. Now, wow, they're really hopeless. Right? You may think like this. Okay, this is what is bound to happen. What is bound to happen. Okay, with this in mind, what I'm saying is that the other schools, the lowest school, Vaibhashika, and the Prasangika, the top, two of them in one camp, and the other schools, the other camp. The other schools say that of the three times, past, present, future, past and future, these two are permanent phenomena. Only present is impermanent. This is what they say. Whereas the Vaibhashika and Prasangika says, no, all three times are impermanent. Okay. And then Lama Tsongkhapa, he further explained that the past, particularly with the past, I don't remember him relating this to the future, but the past, very clear exposition, what exactly is past, the disintegratedness, as I said earlier, the definitions, we can maintain the definitions of the three times, the way posited by the other schools. But the question arises, say what we call as the past, what we call as the future. These are permanent, impermanent. The first thing is that according to Prasangika, it is impermanent. Then Lama Tsongkhapa very precisely explained that the disintegratedness, which is the past is not only impermanent, it is also affirming negative. So let us not explore at the moment how that is affirming negative for the time being. So when we study Madhyamika Avatar in more detail, particularly that comes, okay, just for information, how that is relevant to the study of Madhyamika Avatar was that there was a discussion happening pertaining to identifying the self, which is going to be just the next para. identify the self. Say the lower schools, they identify the self more than the mere conventionality. They go into the aggregates and identify the self there amongst the aggregates. And Prasanga says that nothing. When you go into the aggregates, for example, the table. Where's the table? The top line is the table. You go into the parts. The table is nowhere to be found. Likewise, Prasanga says that even the self, when you go to the parts, nowhere you can see the self. Whereas the lower schools say that no. So when you go to parts 3, you will find the self. What is that? The mind, mental consciousness. Of the 6 elements, which are the parts of the person, 6 elements. So this element of what? Consciousness, element of mind, element of consciousness is the self. This is what they say. Now, they challenge Prasanga that if this is how you identify, that nothing is to be identified within the aggregates or the 6 elements, then which means that nothing really exists intrinsically, objectively. If nothing exists objectively, then what transmigrates from one life to the next? One question. Next, second question, what carries, to be more precise, all the imprints that we have, imprints of the virtues, imprints of non-virtues, and the neutral imprints, all the imprints are being carried from one life to the other. What carries this imprint? This is the question. What carries? If there's no self which is objectively real, migrating from one life to the other, then what's that entity which carries all these imprints from one life to the other? So this question asked, and then in this connection, then the Prasangika gave the answer of the disintegratedness of the imprints. Imprints, one life, this is also impermanent. Imprints also impermanent, right? So for example, I've been taking this mala for many years. This mala has been with me for so many years. All these many years, this mala was with me. But every moment, this mala had to undergo change, moment by moment changing, while maintaining continuum. Within the continuum, there's a change happening. Initially, I remember, if the color is different, color was also different, and even the shape was slightly different, right? And now, because of being with me for so many years, slowly the color changed, and the shape also changed slightly, right? Okay, so we see that, but this mala per se, without going into details about the shape and so forth, we see that it's continually been with me for all these years. But if you go into the more closely, you see that it never existed as the same mala. Every moment it had been undergoing change, right? Okay, so likewise, imprints we lay. For example, attendees studying the turn system, and the imprints. Every time we do something, we think something, we lay imprints in our mind. So this imprint is also impermanent. Because it is impermanent, it momentarily changes. Momentarily changes means the next moment, the first moment is not in the form of the first moment. The first moment is in the form of the disintegratedness. So this disintegratedness is impermanent. So that is the one which serves as the imprint, which serves as the transference of the imprints from one life to the next life, and that this disintegratedness of the imprint is potent to give rise to the result the next time, the next life. So it's just what do you call it? Just the intro. Just the intro. Don't worry too much about the details we have to study during the Madhyama Avatar. Okay, so the point is that this concept is very important, that the past is impermanent, What is this part? This is disintegratedness. That's impermanent. Not impermanent, this disintegratedness is what? It's affirming negative. It's not non-affirming negative, it's affirming negative. Okay, this is what we learn. They also accept external objects. The difference between the Chittamatra, Yogacara, Chittamatra and the Prasangika is, we did last time, let's say two things: external reality and objective existence. External reality and objective existence. So Chittamatra, they reject external reality, they accept objective existence. Prasangika, they accept external reality and reject objective existence. Right? This is what we need to keep in mind. So it says they also accept external objects for they maintain. For meaning, say the reason given is that for the reason that they maintain the object and the subject are established as different entities. Meaning that the flower is there and your mind is here. The flower is there is the object, your mind is the subject is here. So these two are substantially different. Okay, anyone, what do you mean by substantially different? Anyone? What is meant by what do you understand by substantial difference? It doesn't. Don't worry that it should be politically correct. It doesn't say everything should be correct. Just give your own thought. What do you understand by substantially different object subject? To be substantially different. Anyone?
There
Yes.
are different independent entities. That is what I understand from substantially different.
Two.
Different.
So the object and subject. Say it again.
The object and subject, they are two different independent entities. That is what we mean by substantially different.
Okay, that object and subject, these two are two different entities. Okay, good. Okay, what do you mean by two different entities? This is the next question. Anyone? Or you give your own thoughts about the origin question. What do you mean by, what do you understand by object subject to be substantially different? Right? One. Then the Amita gives answer that substantially different, object subject being substantially different means object subject as two different entities. Okay, so you can give the answer in the whichever you want to give the answer, you give the answer there. Either what do you understand by object subject to be substantial? What do you mean by object and subject to be substantially different? One. Or you can give the answer. What do you mean by object subject to be two different entities? Anyone? Very quick. Anyone? Angela?
The two can be separated from each other, physically separated from each other.
Okay, the two can be physically separated. Physically separated. Very good. Yes, Tejula?
That when we go to point towards them, we have to point at two different things.
Okay, we can point to two different things. Yeah, this is how the two are two different entities. And the object and subject, these two are these two are seen as these two exist as separate with what you call physically separate. Physically separate means there is distance. Okay, so the subject to object of one thing, it is not 100% the case in all cases, but one thing which is so prominent. What we understand by externality. Idea is that Prasangika accepts externality and Yogacara or Chittamatra rejects externality. So what one school rejects and the other school accepts. So there must be, first of all, we have to agree to the point. Do you understand what is external reality? The two schools should agree. Once they agree, then the next question, does it exist? or not, right? If external reality exists, how should it exist? So this both parties should accept. Once they agree, if external exists, if externality is there, how does it exist? So both should agree the mode of the existence of the externality. Once that is agreed upon, then the next question is, does it exist? Does such a thing, does it exist? Then Jeta Mother would say, no, it does not exist. And Prasangma would say, yes, they exist. So what is that thing which both parties agree is that if something exists externally, it should exist, the object should exist different, physically different from the subject. What do you mean by object physically different from the subject? Means object and subject, there should be a space gap. You're getting it? There should be a space gap. If there's a space gap, then this is externality between the object and subject. Okay, do you understand what is space gap? That's very easy. You understand it? Not understand it? Gap in space. Do you have space between you and me? Do you see a space? That's it, right? If this is what somebody has to explain, then not in the master's course. Again, you have to wait the next 2 years. Space is what we have to. Space. It doesn't mean the non-composite space. This is not what we're talking about. I'm just talking about. Do you see a space between you and me? Even the dogs see that. Then none of the master's course students should be seeing it. Even the dogs, when they see a wall, they will not go there. They will deviate, knowing that there's no space, right? Okay. So therefore, this one is where you see a space between the object and the subject, and if the space actually exists, this is the meaning of externality. Where you see space, you are seeing the externality. But if it doesn't exist the way it appears, this is the meaning of the absence of externality. Okay. So they also accept external objects, for they maintain that object and subject are established as different entities. Different entities meaning that, different entities, you all know the meaning, but in this case, what? Established, for they maintain what? They also have external objects, they maintain that the object and subject are established as different entities. There's a gap between the object and subject. When you point to the object subject, you have to point to two different objects separated by distance, separated by space. Next, reference 92, second, assertions on this subject. Now the object part finished, so what do we do cover? Right? What have we covered? Manifest, non-manifest, the true truths, then a little bit about the time, then about externality. Right? I think that's it. Okay, so the rest we have to take from the lower schools, right? We have to take from lower schools. Okay. The next assertions on the subject. Subject, again, as the same pattern, common pattern. What are the subjects consist of what? 3. What are they? Person, consciousness, and terms or labels. Okay. So the first person, reference 92. Okay, the first person, the mere I, which is imputed on 4 or 5 aggregates as the basis of designation, is posited as an illustration of person. Person should necessarily be non-associated composite. This is so important. This is something unique. This is so important. No compromise. This is so important. The mere I. This is something so unique coming in Prasangika. This is nowhere discussed in the lower schools. The mere I, which is imputed on 4 or 5 aggregates as the basis of designation, is posited as an illustration of person. What is person? The mere I, posited, imputed on 4 or 5 aggregates. So we are made of how many aggregates? We are made of 5 aggregates. But beings in the formless realm are made of 4 aggregates. What is missing? aggregative form is missing. Okay. So the question is, what is meant by mere I? What is meant by mere I? You getting it? Okay. For this, we have to. This is a very important analysis. Let's say, okay. Let's say, okay. Let's say, where is Elora? Where's Elora? Where's Elora? She's there. Oh, I'm there. She's smiling. Yeah. So she said, I'm here, indicating, you know, that she's smiling, is indicating that I'm here. Okay, let's say that Elora is there, right? So we all agreed that Elora is there. Now, if I ask Elora's mother, who is in Bangalore, right? If I ask her, where's Elora? She may say that, okay, she's in Delhi. Where in Delhi? Right? She may be at home, or maybe in Tibet house. Usually she goes to Tibet house. What day is today? Today is Thursday. She may be in Tibet house, right? Okay. So, when her mother in Bangalore says that she may be in Tibet house, still we can analyze. Are you sure that she is in Tibet house? How can I precisely know that she is in Tibet house? Right? Still we can analyze. Now, you are in Tibet house hall, where you see Elora in the same hall. You say, where's Elora? She's there. So, is that the final analysis or the final understanding? How you verify the existence of Elora? Is this a final version? Or we can analyze further? After seeing Elora, still you want to analyze? Still want to see where Elora is? How?
Because that's how predictive.
No, what I'm saying is the conventional sense. How do we do that? Huh?
Conventionally, if she is here, she is here.
No, but my question is, say we try to look for Elora. When we go out, from there we can look for Elora. And then, so you infer, okay, she's the one who said that we should be regular in the study of the philosophy. Right? She said, only if you are regular, you will get something. If you're not regular, you will disrupt it, you will not get anything. This is what she said. So she must be so regular. Because she must be so regular, it is Thursday, it's a class day, so she must be in Tibet house. This is the inference that you use when you're outside. Right? Okay, this inference and now actually seeing Elora here, which is more powerful?
This directly
Seeing her directly.
Which is, how would you say, which would be, for example, if you are in a court, if you're filing court case, right? Yes, Elora was there when I was here, right? So what is the most important, the evidence? The witness, eyewitness? Eyewitness is so important, right? What's the English word? Alibi? Alibi, what is alibi?
Someone sees you somewhere at the time of crime and not at the place of crime. That is an alibi.
You're creating an alibi sometimes, right? People can create an alibi, right? So the point is, in the court, what is most important evidence is the eyewitness. This is the most important part. You're getting it? So with this, when you see Elora, according to conventional world, this is the final. To know that there's Elora here, this is the final. Now the lower schools, they said that this is not the final. After seeing Elora, still you can ask, where is Elora, right? You tell her, and then if she is Swatandra Madhimika Chitamatra, sometimes she is good in Chitamatra, she will say that my mind is Elora, right? This is what the conventional world will never say. You agree with me or not? My mind is me. They will never say this. Okay. So the mere means the moment you see Elora, according to conventional world, you see Elora. That's it. Now, beyond that, if you go, you will find the 5 aggregates. Right? Nowhere amongst the 5 aggregates you will find Elora. So the Elora is not to be identified amongst the 5 aggregates. Just you see it, just keep it there. Don't go beyond towards the five aggregates. If you go towards the aggregates, you are looking for Ellora more than what you see. Right? So, Prasanga said that the moment you go beyond that, you will never find anything. You will never find Ellora. You getting it? That is known as the mere eye of Ellora. Ellora, which cannot be pointed to, which cannot be findable amongst the five aggregates. You're getting it? Okay. This is known as the mere eye. Now, if you could recollect what we have learned earlier, the lower schools, they speak about the self. They speak about the self, for example, say the Svatantara Madhyamika. The Svatantara Madhyamika, they speak about the self in two forms. Putative self and the substantial self. Right? Putative self and the substantial self. Putative self means, hey, where are you? I'm here. I am here. Right? I'm here. This is how the conventional world understands. How the self, as understood by the conventional world, is known as putative self. The self, as understood by the conventional world, ordinary world, is known as putative self. And the self, going beyond how the ordinary world understands, going beyond this amongst the five aggregates, going towards the five aggregates to identify the self within the five aggregates, you look for the substantial self. So the lower school say that substantial self exists and the putative self exists. So what is the putative self? So when you say I, when it's I, this is putative self. What do you mean by putative self? This self is putative. Putative meaning that it is imputed. It is imputed on the basis of the five aggregates. So this I, how do you know it is imputed on the physical form? Because I'm a male, I'm a female. This is on the basis of the body. How the self is imputed on the basis of the body. And say, okay, I'm not really good in music. And I'm not really good in mathematics. Or I'm very good in mathematics. So that's all determined on the basis of your mind. And oh, this person is very compassionate. This person is not so compassionate. This person is so good in analysis. This person is so good in single-pointedness. Right? This person is so good in, a little short-tempered, but it's very generous. Generous but short-tempered. Right? It's very calm, peaceful, but a little stingy. So all these variations are there. These are all what? Mental attributes. So the person can be designated on the basis of the mental attributes and the physical attributes. So that person, I. When we say I, this is the impure self. This is how the ordinary people understand the self. Then when you go beyond this means beyond what the conventional world accepts. If you go beyond this, then you will reach what? You will see the five aggregates, or the six elements. Right? 6 elements or the 5 aggregates. And then if you think that a person can identify, a person can be findable amongst the 5 aggregates or 6 elements, and you pick up one of the aggregates or one of the 6 elements, then you look for a substantial self. So Prasangika does not accept substantial self. Only the lower schools, they accept substantial self. So lower schools, they speak about the self on two levels. Putative self and the substantial self. Okay, according to Svatantara Madhyamika, what is the putative self? I, Adora, Tejala, right? Same. So these are the putative self. What is the substantial self? Adora's mental consciousness. My mental consciousness. Your mental consciousness. These are the substantial self. Okay, whereas Prasangika does not accept what? Substantial self. It accepts only putative. Only, this word only is the mere putative self. The mere I. Mere I meaning no substantial self. Merely the putative self. Merely the the self as explained as the accepted by the conventional world. Okay, the mere I, which is imputed on 4 or 5 aggregates as the basis of a designation, is posited as an illustration of person. Okay, so now there's all these discussions are there. Okay, mere self, the basis of designation. Okay, let's not spend so much time on this, because then after this we're going to study Madhyamaka Avadar. For how long, Dibeshla?
10 months.
Okay, you may be too exhausted, right? So therefore, let us be a little more free now at the moment. Okay, next. Person should necessarily be non-associated composite phenomena. Person should necessarily be non-associated composite phenomena. Okay, if you think about impermanent and permanent phenomena, impermanent is of 3 kinds. Impermanent divisions. How many divisions are there? 3. What are they? Form, mind, non-associated composite phenomena, right? Impermanent phenomena is divided to 3. For example, say, make it very simple. And don't try to make it too technical, right? Okay, let's say that the things that we see around, if not 100%, 99% of what we see things that are how we do things with which we interact, they're all impermanent phenomena, right? Only if you're meditating on emptiness, right, then you're touching the word permanent phenomenon, the emptiness, or you're meditating what? The emptiness, autonomous substantial reality, or say, oh, you don't have this, right? Oh, you're not good. When you say you're not being kind towards me, not being kind to you, your absence of being kindness, the absence of being kind, that is the permanent phenomena, right? Other than that, oh, you're so good, oh, beautiful, we always talk like this. So these are all composite phenomena, right? So all the impermanent phenomena. And the impermanent phenomena with which we interact, right? Make it very simple. Say, oh, the food is so good, it's a physical form. Form, mind, and non-composite. Oh, the food is so good, oh, the mobile is very good, or we'll go for shopping. It's again physical form, or mostly physical form, 5 central objects. And then maybe, okay, I cannot think about it, you're thinking about mind. I can think about it. Okay, wonderful, it's amazing. Today I heard about mere I. It's amazing, right? It's amazing. I heard about a mere I. The concept of mere I is an amazing concept. Okay, so there you are talking about the mental process. So that is mental. Okay, I met one person, and the person is so kind. I met the person, and the person is not so helpful. I thought the person could be very helpful, but not so helpful. So these are all related to the mind. Okay, mind. Then say, I met a person. When I met a person, the person is what's impermanent, permanent. Permanent is an impermanent phenomenon. But that person, the person that you met, is he or she physical form? No. He or she has physical form, it's not physical form. Okay, this distinction must be made. Do you have hands?
Yes.
Are you hands? Right? I have hands. I am not hands. I have physical form. I am not physical form. This distinction we must know as the Nalanda Master's participants, right? Okay. So, say that this person that I've met, the person is really very kind. I thought that person is not so kind, but the person is so kind. This person is not physical, is impermanent. Impermanent means should be one of these 3 classes, fall in one of these 3 classes. The first one, physical form. The person not physical form, the person has physical form, but it's not physical form. Mind, the person is not mind. The person has mind, the person is not mind. So, because that the person is impermanent, it does not fall under the first 2 categories, or by default it will fall under the 3rd category. So the person is non-associated compositional factor, or the non-associated compositional phenomena, right? Okay. So, if the person, when you identify the person, if you can also identify the person from the substantial self, as a substantial self, then according to Savatantra Madhyamika, what is the substantial self?
Mind.
Mental consciousness. Mental consciousness of the person is the substantial self. So that falls, that's impermanent or not?
Yes.
Impermanent. Is a person or not?
Yes.
Is a person, and which it is impermanent. Which of the three classes, divisions it falls under? It falls under second, the mind. But Prasangika does not accept any person falling under the category of the mind. It should necessarily fall in third category, always in third category, which means it is only imputed self. It is only the putative self, never the substantial self. This idea, right? Okay. Person should necessarily be non-associated composite phenomena. Okay. The next, consciousness. So consciousness, there are some unique things to be able to learn pertaining to consciousness, but overall speaking, what you learned in the Buddhist psychology is just the same, except for small variations. Okay, let's see. Consciousness. Consciousness is of two kinds. Prime cognition and non-prime cognition. Okay, keep this in mind. Translation point. Prime cognition, valid cognition. Prime cognition, valid cognition, these two are synonymous. Right? Okay. Prime cognition, valid cognition, these two are synonymous in English. So why I chose prime cognition here? In English, there's one problem. Because if I translate it as valid cognition, then what is the opposite of that? Non-valid cognition. Non-valid cognition would give you a very wrong understanding. Because all those minds which are not the prime cognition or valid cognition should fall on non-valid cognition. Then even the valid substantial consciousness, that is what is subsequent valid cognition, subsequent cognitions, even the subsequent cognizers, they should become non-valid, which is terrible English. So therefore, to avoid the complication, it's not non-valid, it's valid. English-wise, it's valid, because it's an accurate cognition. So therefore, to avoid this, sometimes I choose the word prime cognition, right? Okay, both are synonymous. Prime cognition and non-prime cognition. Prime cognition, valid cognition is of two kinds. Direct valid cognition and differential cognition. Do you agree? Other schools agree with this or not? They agree? They agree with Prasanga or not? They agree up to this point. Now next, direct valid cognition is classified into sense. Okay, direct valid cognition, from what we have learned thus far, tell me. Divisions? Four. What are they? Sense direct.
Mental direct.
Sense direct cognition.
Mental direct.
Mental cognition.
Self-cognition.
Self-cognitive mind.
Yogic direct.
Yogic direct. Okay, 4. So now what we have here is 3. Direct valid cognition is classified into sense direct valid cognition, mental direct valid cognition, yogic direct valid cognition. They do not accept self-cognizant direct perceiver. Right? Okay. Anybody who accepts self-direct cognizer, self-direct cognition, anyone who accepts it should necessarily be inclined towards accepting objective existence. Right? Okay. But keep in mind that there's this word, self-awareness. Awareness of awareness. So these terminologies are always coming here and there, within the different traditions. Okay, simply because Prasangika rejects self-cognizant mind. Self-cognizant mind is a connotation, awareness of awareness. Right? This connotation is there. It doesn't mean Prasangika rejecting self-cognizant mind doesn't reject awareness or awareness meditation. Right? And some people think that, okay, it rejects this, so this awareness meditation, this is my main meditation. Now Prasanga rejected that, which means Prasanga practice is not really good thing. Okay, I don't understand this. This is pathetic. This is all because of our narrowness in our thinking, right? So the point is that terminologies, they may be overlapping, they may be different, it doesn't matter. We have to know what is being rejected there, prasangika, and what is that meditation, which is the awareness meditation. This is a beautiful meditation. It's amazing meditation. Amazing, right? So there's no contradiction, right? So what has been rejected, we have to know it very precisely. And what is being meditated, what practice are you doing when you say I'm meditating on awareness meditation? What is meditating? What is that thing that you're meditating? These two, there's no contradiction there. So superficially, with the wordings, you may see that these two are contradictory. No, not at all. Okay. And we do have to know why prasangika does not accept self-conscious mind. You're getting it? Okay. So as a part of, just to give you a little bit of clue, as a part of the, say, Madhyamika Avatar study there, say, finally, the discussion, say, presenting the what's been rejected is objective existence. Prasangika rejects the objective existence. This is a final, this ultimate thing that we should be doing, to reject objective existence, to see emptiness. Say, reject objective existence, say that objective existence, viewing the objective existence of the external world, viewing the objective existence of the internal world meaning view the objective existence of the mind. So of the two, the second one is much stronger. We're not talking about is more subtle. This is not what I'm saying. Much more stronger. And the say, when you dismantle the objective existence in a loose sense, when you dismantle the concrete solidity, the solidification of the external world, still the solidification of the internal world is there, right? Well, the external world is nothing but imputed by mind. So the mind becomes even more solidified when you think like this. So when you dissolidify the mind, that is very special. This is very profound. So to dissolidify the mind, that becomes very important. Whereas the Chittamantra, they solidify the mind so much, believing the mind to be truly existent, and of course objectively existent and truly existent, so solidified there. And what made them to accept the mind to be so solid and so intrinsic and so truly existent? What made them to believe in it? So intrinsic. Because they also have to defend their position, their philosophy. So the philosopher, on the basis of which they accept this, the mind to be objectively real, is this self-cognizant mind. And how? Again, this question, how? In what way the acceptance of self-cognizant mind helps them to defend the mind to be objectively real, right? So these questions, the detail, I'm not going to do it here. It will come there as the main discussion in the Madhyamika Avatar. Okay, so the reason is what? That prasangika, because prasangika does not accept objective existence or intrinsic existence, they reject self-cognizant mind. Okay. So continue reading this. They do not accept self-cognizant direct perceiver. All sense consciousnesses of sentient beings should be mistaken minds. This, if you could remember what I said earlier, what I said is that except for the non-dual mind of emptiness, except for the non-dual mind of emptiness, all minds are mistaken, except for yes, except for the non-dual minds, except for the non-dual minds. All minds of the sentient beings are mistaken, right? Are mistaken. What do you mean by? What do you understand? What is the difference between mistaken mind and deceptive mind? What's the difference between deceptive mind and mistaken mind? If you could recall what we learn from the Buddhist psychology, Tejala?
So mistaken mind is depending on the object of appearance, how the object appears, and deceptive mind is based on how the mind engages with the object.
Okay, good. Anyone else? This is, if I'm to grade, I would grade it 89%. Still 11% is left. Anyone else who likes to make it complete? Anyone? Anyone? No? Huh? Anyone else? Yes. This is Visala. At the end.
I think the mistaken mind, so just adding to what Tejala said, mistaken mind is Tulshi and deceptive mind is Lakshay. And I think that business of wearing snow goggles, I think in about knowing that,
No, that's fine. I still want 11%. 89%, 11% should be added. Trimala, you want to add?
For deceptive, it is both appearance and engagement wise.
Say it again.
For deceptive, both appearance is wrong and the engagement is also wrong.
Then?
So
Appearance? Mistaken?
Mistaken only appearance wise it is wrong.
Okay. 11% added, very good. Okay, very good. But I would say I would minus 1 point. 99%. Okay, 1%. You want anybody who likes to make it just very precise. This is my illness. This is my disease. I look for precision. This is my disease. I'm very sorry. I want somebody to fill up that 1%. Anyone else? Is Ankitla, you want to add? Huh?
Add, but try to rephrase. So any mind which is erroneous with respect to the object of appearance, that is mistaken mind.
Then?
Any mind which is erroneous with respect to object of engagement, that is deceptive mind.
100%. Thank you. Okay, so this is the point. Say a mind which is erroneous or mistaken with respect to the appearance. Appearance is known as mistaken mind, and the mind, a mind which is erroneous, which is mistaken with respect to the act of engaging with the object. Engaging, mistake happens in engagement, that is deceptive, and mistake happens on appearance, that is mistaken. This is the difference that we made, right? Okay, this is very important, and we should be able to say one is that you get understanding, right? The next one's understanding must be articulated. Articulation must be there. Two things happening. One is understanding, number two is articulation. So we now say the purpose of the classes and precisely the group discussions, the articulation must be acquired. We must learn how to acquire this articulation, right? Okay, good. Now, what we said is that except for the non-dual minds, all minds of sentient beings are deceptive. Mistaken, not deceptive. All the minds of sentient, except for the non-dual minds of the minds, all minds of the sentient beings are a mistaken mind. Meaning that except for non-dual wisdom, non-dual minds of sentient, the non-dual minds, all minds of sentient beings are erroneous with respect to the object of appearance, right? Mistaken with respect to the object of appearance. Okay. Whatever appears to in our mind, how many you have? Okay. How many you have non-dual wisdom minds? Non-dual mind? Okay, if not, then all our minds are mistaken, which means 24/7. In the dreams also. In the dreams also mistaken. In what way mistaken? In what way mistaken? Mistaken in ways of things appearing, mistaken with the appearance. Things appearing to a mind as objectively real. You're getting it? One. Number two is that moment to a sentient being's mind, moment any conventional truth appears, any instance of, any illustration of conventional truth appears to mind, it automatically becomes the mistaken mind. Right? Any conceptual truth, any illustration of conceptual truth, rosary appears to mind, automatically it becomes the mistaken. The food appears to mind, automatically it becomes mistaken. And then say the pleasant music appears to mind, automatically mistaken. Likewise, the good, delicious food or anything, good, bad, neutral, whatever, the conventional truth, except for emptiness, right? Any conventional truth appears to mind, automatically the mind becomes mistaken. Okay, this is something so unique of Prasangika. You getting it? Okay. So if that's the case, then what happens to the sensory consciousnesses? All sensory consciousnesses of the sentient beings, which sentient being, whose consciousness, which sentient being is the one whose the sensory consciousness apprehends emptiness? No. In the case of sentient beings, no sense consciousness can apprehend emptiness, which means no sense consciousness can be non-dual with emptiness. So therefore, all sense consciousnesses of the sentient beings should necessarily be mistaken mind. Okay, Georgie, you have a question?
Because the examples you had given were all of the sensory consciousness.
Yes.
That's why I was asking.
Not only sensory, what I said is that any mind, what is said here is that all sensory consciousness of sentient beings are mistaken. Then I made it even broader, saying that any mind which does not have the non-dual experience of emptiness, or which does not have the experience of emptiness, any mind, I can make a very bold statement. Any mind which does not have the experience of emptiness should be mistaken. Any mind, whether the mental consciousness, the sensory consciousness, all the sensory consciousness of the sentient beings should necessarily be mistaken, because it does not apprehend emptiness, it only apprehends the conventional truth, is illustrations of conventional truth. Okay, let's read further. All sense consciousness of sentient beings should be mistaken mind. Yogic direct perceiver. Okay, now this is something we need to keep in mind. Okay, yogic direct perceivers. Okay, tell me. Gati, Paragati, Parasamgati, Bodhiswada, five parts. Yogic direct perception happens where? Which of the five parts? Part of seeing, part of meditation, and part of no more learning. This is what he's saying. According to Prasangika, is very different. Right? Thus far, what we have said is that yogic direct perception happens only when you reach the path of seeing. Yogic has that connotation. Part of seeing, part of normal learning, part of meditation, part of normal learning. Thus far, meaning up to Svatandra Madhyamika. Now, according to Prasangika, is very different. Yogic direct perception may not necessarily be only when you are in the Arya being. Even before that, during the first two parts, even during the first two parts, you can have a yogic direct perception according to Prasangika. You getting it? Okay, how? I'll give you a clue. Say, okay, what is your statement? you as prasangikas, if you are prasangika, what is the statement? To realize emptiness, you should, okay, let's say, I will give you some statements and you decide true, false. Say you are prasangika, the followers, and the two who really understands prasangika philosophy well, comprehensively. My question to you, to realize impermanence, not emptiness, to realize impermanence, you must be a prasangika. True, false? False. Very good. Okay. And to reach the path of seeing, gati, paragati, to reach the path of seeing, you must be prasangika. False? True? Okay, to reach, okay, let's say, to reach path of seeing, you must have the experience of emptiness. True, false? Let me say this again. According to you are the prasangika, right? The prasangika tent holders, right? You are the genuine, not only genuine, with a vast learning, deep learning of prasangika tent holders. And then my question to you is, to reach the path of seeing, you must have the experience of emptiness. True, false? Huh? Answer is true. Answer is true. Meaning, true should be the answer. Right? Okay. If that were the case, to reach the path of seeing, you must have the experience of emptiness. Answer is true. Okay. To reach the path of seeing, you must be a prasangika. True, false? To see emptiness, you must be a prasangika. To see emptiness, you must be prasangika. You are which? According to prasangika, emptiness means emptiness of objective existence. True, false? Okay, if you don't realize emptiness of objective existence, you have not realized emptiness. True, false? True. Good. So therefore, if you are to realize emptiness, you must be prasangika. Right? If you are to reach the path of seeing, you must be prasangika. Yes. Okay, you getting it? Now, what did you say last? What is the last statement that you made? That you agreed? You endorsed? To reach the path of seeing, you must be prasangika. Don't forget it. Right? Okay. Now, say there is one practitioner who believes, who says that prasangika is nihilist, right? And the real Madhyamika philosophy is Yogacara, Svatantrika Madhyamika philosophy. There is a real philosophy. This is the true intention of the Buddha, right? So there's one person and who's actually meditating 4 sessions a day, meditating on emptiness of true existence while not rejecting objective existence. That person meditating, right? And there is Vaibhashika practitioner, very serious Vaibhashika practitioner, who's meditating on impermanence. They meditate for 4 sessions, so seriously meditate 4 sessions every day for like say 30 years or 40 years. Okay, and you are prasangika. So they remain Svatantrika Madhyamika and the other remain Vaibhashika throughout the life. Now from your point of view, these two persons, do they realize emptiness? You are prasangika. From your point of view, you said that to realize emptiness, you must realize the emptiness of objective existence. This is what you said. Right? So the Svatantrika Madhyamika practitioner and the 2 ardent practitioners, 2 very serious practitioners, Vaibhashika and Svatantrika, do you think that they will whole their life they remain Svatana Madhyamika and Vaibhashika. They never join Prasangika. So in this very life, do you think that they realize emptiness? No, they don't realize emptiness. Do you think that they will reach path of seeing? Impossible, not at all in this life. Okay. Do you think that they will do? Therefore, they will have a direct realization of the impermanence?
Yes.
Possible, yes. Okay. Now let's say they have seen impermanence directly. They have seen impermanence directly, and this Svatana Madhyamika practitioner, he or she sees the emptiness of autonomous substantial reality directly. Possible, not possible?
Yes.
Possible. Okay. So that direct realization of impermanence by the Vaibhashika practitioner, and direct realization of the emptiness of autonomous substantial reality by the Svatana Madhyamika practitioner. So these two have achieved the yogic direct perception. They have achieved the yogic direct perception, but they have not reached the path of seeing. You're getting it? So, are they ordinary beings? These two are they ordinary beings or not?
Yes.
They are not ordinary beings. They are very great practitioners. Huh?
They're not Arya beings.
They are not ordinary beings, but they are ordinary as opposed to Arya beings. Right? They are ordinary as opposed to Arya beings. In the conventional sense, they are not ordinary beings. They are very accomplished practitioners. Very good. But in the technical sense, they are ordinary beings. In the sense of what? In the sense of not seeing the ultimate truth, emptiness, directly. So from that point of view, they are ordinary. Okay, very good. Let's see. Now, with this understanding, you say, thus far, according to Svatana Madhyamika and lower schools, we said that, generally speaking, we said that to have a yogi direct perceiver, you should reach the path of seeing, at least the path of seeing, right? Okay, but there's Prasangika point of view, to have a yogi direct perception, should you reach path of seeing? Not necessary. Okay, with this mind, let's go now. All sense consciousness of sentient beings should be mistaken minds. Yogic direct perceiver has both mistaken and non-mistaken mind. Wow, this is something very strange. Yogic direct perception has both mistaken and okay. Yogic direct perceiver can be mistaken.
Yes.
How come? It's a yogic direct perception.
They still see objective existence. They see phenomena as objectively existent. No, it appears.
See the yogic direct perceptions of the lower school practitioners, they are mistaken. No, mistaken. Mistaken. Why mistaken?
It's not non-dual.
It is not a mind which realizes emptiness. You can give different answers, but one of the answers do you agree that any mind which does not apprehend emptiness should be mistaken? No.
Yes.
Any mind which does not apprehend emptiness should necessarily be mistaken? Wow, you dare to even make more bold statements. Any mind which does not see emptiness, which does not apprehend emptiness, should be mistaken.
Yes.
How?
It will appear as objectively.
How?
So it will appear as objectively existent to that mind.
Okay. A mind which does not apprehend emptiness should necessarily be a mind where objective existence appears. Right? And objective existence appearance-wise is mistaken, because objective existence does not exist. That's true. Thank you. Okay, so the yogic direct perceiver, which is yogic direct perceiver, has both mistaken and non-mistaken mind. Give me an example of yogic direct perceiver which is mistaken. Yes, Radhika ji?
When you come out,
Yogic direct perceiver which is mistaken. Can you give me an example?
when you come out of the meditation,
Yes.
then the thing is still aware as objective. As objective. When you're out of the meditation.
When you come out of the meditation,
Yeah.
then
So then the thing is still aware as objective.
Is
the
there-
appearance is.
say Radhika ji, you realize emptiness directly, right? The first moment of the experience, non-dual experience of emptiness. The next moment you come out of the meditation, right? You come out of the meditation. Do you still have the yogic direct perception? Or the yogic direct perception has subsided temporarily. Yogic direct perception means, by the very definition, you should be in a yogic experience, in the meditative experience. So you already come out of that. So yogic direct perception meaning in a meditative experience, meditative state, right? Okay, can anyone give an example of Mimila, you've answered? Yogic direct perception, which is mistaken. Anyone else? Mimila, yes, no? Okay, anyone else?
Like
Yogic direct perception, which is
Yogic-
mistaken.
yogic direct perception, cognizing impermanence.
Okay, yogic direct perception, cognizing impermanence. Very good. Impermanence is what? Is the conventional truth. And yogic direct perception, cognizing impermanence, does not see emptiness. Does not see emptiness because it only focuses on the impermanence. Because it does not see emptiness, any mind which does not see emptiness should be mistaken. So yogic direct perception, perceiving or cognizing impermanence, this is a mistaken yogic direct perception. Can you give an example of yogic direct perception which is not mistaken? Which is not mistaken? Anyone? Tejava?
And Arya being in meditative equipoise. So we know.
The Arya being in meditative equipoise of suffering.
Now you said meditative equipoise means non-dual wisdom of them.
Who said it?
I'm mistaken.
Okay, so an Arya being in non-dual wisdom of emptiness.
Very good. Arya being in a non-dual wisdom of emptiness. This is actually redundant. You should have said, no, it's not, it's correct. 100% accurate. But
It
you,
is redundant. Yeah.
so you can, no, it's not redundant, it's correct. But it's same, saying Arya beings, non-dual. Non-dual means it's only Arya beings. Non-dual wisdom of emptiness is only in the inner Arya being, right? Okay, Arya beings, non-dual wisdom of emptiness. This is yogic direct perception, which is mistaken.
Non-mistaken.
Not mistaken. Good. Okay, let's read now. Yogic direct perceiver has both mistaken and non-mistaken mind. The yogic direct perceiver, which is non-contaminated, meditative equipoise, non-contaminated, this word, non-contaminated, meditative equipoise is non-mistaken. Non-contaminated meaning, not contaminated by any stains. Not contaminated by any stains. Stains like the objective appearance, objective apprehension, these stains are not there. Which is that mind which does not have these two stains? Which is that mind which does not have the stain of the objective appearance and objective apprehension? What is that mind? Non-dual wisdom. So only non-dual wisdom can be, non-dual mind can be uncontaminated. Right? Okay. Non-contaminated meditative equipoise is not mistaken, and the yogic direct perceiver of ordinary beings. Ordinary beings, can they have yogic direct perceiver? Huh?
Yes.
We have learned that, yogic direct perceiver is only with part of seeing above, only with the Arya beings. So that is during the lower schools. Now in the Prasangika, even the ordinary beings can have yogic direct perception. Very good. Okay. Yogic direct perception of ordinary beings. Directly realizing the subtle impermanence is mistaken mind. The latter holds true as it is the mind of ordinary beings. Ordinary beings, the mind of ordinary beings are always, always, always mistaken. Right? Is there anyone whose mind is not mistaken? Here? In a way I'm asking, is there anyone who is Arya? Right? Is there anyone whose mind is not mistaken? Means, in a way I'm asking what? Is there anyone who is Arya? Okay. Next. Subsequent cognizer is always direct value. Okay, this is unique. This is unique of Prasangika, right? It's a revolutionary. It's a revolutionary. Subsequent cognizer is always direct valid cognition. Wow. Subsequent cognizer is always direct valid cognition. For example, say the inferential cognition. Inferential cognition. Inferential cognition, okay, valid direct perception, okay, just tell me, valid direct perception and the conceptual mind, what's the relationship? 3 modes, 4 modes, contradictory? This is contradictory, which two? Direct valid cognition, perception and conceptual mind. Why contradictory? Direct as opposed to conceptual, right? Direct as opposed to conceptual. This is what we have learned. Now what we're learning here is very different, right? Subsequent cognizer. What's the can you imagine any subsequent cognizer which is not direct? Angela? Subsequent inferential cognizer. Second moment of the inferential cognizer. Second moment of the inferential cognizer is what? Subsequent cognizer. So is that a direct valid cognition? No, but this says that subsequent cognizer is always direct valid cognition. Wow. You agree? Disagree? Huh? Okay. Which means you are not Prasangika yet. Yes, this is Yusula.
Yes, you have a vague memory because it depends on a first moment that was. I'm not going to say this, but we had this discussion once about why the second moment is direct valid.
No, we discussed something different. Why the second moment, within the second moment, there can be prime cognition, right? Within the second moment. So that discussion was done. This discussion is something very new here. Keep this in mind. Okay, that's what we've learned is direct cognition and conceptual mind. These two are contradictory. Direct as opposed to conceptual. This is what we've learned. Now we are learning very different. Right? Conceptual can be direct. This is what we're learning now. This is very different. Conceptual mind can be direct. Right? This is something very different. Okay, so now what we have learned thus far, that is very precious. Don't discard this. Don't discard this. Prasanga, what we're learning is again very precious. Now there are two equally important things. Why I'm saying equally important is when we study the Abhisamaya Alankara, which is going to be the main text to give us a full picture, the extensive treasure house of the Buddhism. So there, the system is mostly followed, the psychology-wise, the system is mainly followed according to the global schools, right? Psychology-wise. And then why I'm saying this one, Prasanga's presentation is so important because that this reflects the understanding. Right? This is so important. Okay, let's say thus far what we've learned is the direct as opposed to conceptual. Now here we are saying that conceptual and direct can be common point. Even conceptual can be direct minds. Direct minds. Okay, let's see. Let's read this stanza, the paragraph, and then we'll stop here. Subsequent cognizance is always direct by recognition. As the second moment of inferential cognition, cognizing sound is impermanent. Okay, let's see. From what we have learned thus far, inferential cognition, cognizing sound is impermanent. That inferential cognition, second moment of that, inferential cognition, cognizing sound is impermanent. Is it direct or it is conceptual? Or both? According to what we have learned thus far, it's only conceptual, it's not direct. But what is being said here is that as the second moment of inferential cognition, cognizing sound is impermanent, is direct valid cognition, which is conceptual in nature. So direct valid cognition has two kinds. One which is conceptual, one is non-conceptual, right? Saying the non-dual wisdom of emptiness is the conceptual, non-conceptual. That is non-conceptual. Second moment of that, okay, even the second moment that is also not a subsequent cognizer. So let's say say inferential cognition, seeing the self as empty from objective existence. Say we meditate on emptiness, where we are just beginners, not yet reached the path of seeing. So there will be meditate emptiness, that is inferential cognition. And the second moment is inferential cognition, seeing emptiness of the self. That is subsequent cognizer or a prime cognition? Subsequent cognizer. So there is subsequent cognizer. There is conceptual or non-conceptual? It's conceptual. In our case, it's conceptual. I don't know about you. For sure, in my case, it should be conceptual. If it's conceptual, it cannot be non-conceptual. So from thus far, what we learned that this is not direct. But now what we are seeing here is that it's direct. A direct valid cognition, which is conceptual nature. Right? Okay, let's see. Whereas the second moment of the sense direct perceiver, apprehending form is direct valid cognition, which is non-conceptual in nature. Okay. So now from this, what we see is that here direct connotation of direct, meaning of direct, the direct perception. Meaning of direct perception varies between the lower schools and Prasangika. Right? Lower schools, direct as opposed to conceptual. Now for Prasangika, direct as opposed to reasoning. Direct as opposed to reasoning, right? Okay. Direct. Okay, don't breathe too heavily.
But inferential cognition uses reasoning.
Good question. Okay, this is what I'm expecting. Second moment of the inferential cognition. It uses reasoning, right? Is it inferential cognition? So how can that be direct? If the direct in this context is the direct as opposed to reasoning, not opposed to conceptual, as opposed to reasoning, then the second moment of the inferential cognition also uses reasoning. So it should not be direct. This question, good question. So let's say second moment of inferential cognition, is this the imitation of the first one?
Yes.
Right? It's the imitation of the first one. If it's not, it should be the prime cognition. Right? Its subsequent cognizer means that it is the one which imitates the first one. Because it imitates, it does not have to put effort to give reasons. Okay. Anyway, this is a big debate, right? So this is a debate, and the monastic scriptures may not agree, and say from the Demonoseling the Venerable Panchasonam Thapa's the scripture, the standpoint is slightly different. May not agree with this. Right? So therefore, second moment of the inferential cognition, does it use reasons or not? This is a debate. This is a debate, right? Okay. In the second moment of the inferential cognition, whether it is subsequent cognizer or not in the second place, whether or not it is subsequent cognizer, from the lower school's point of view, right? This is also a debate. Because subsequent cognizer means, by the very definition, it means something which imitates the first one. If it imitates the first one, why should it have to depend on the reasons? Right? If it depends on reason, then the imitation doesn't make any sense. So therefore, second moment of the inferential cognition should be a valid cognition, as valid as the first one. This is what some scholars say. So there's a slight variation here. It doesn't matter as much. So for the time being, but you can discuss during the group discussion. You can discuss. You can throw these questions there, right? But keep in mind that even the scholars, very standard scholars, they may not agree on these points. The point that we need to learn here is that direct understanding of direct is not as opposed to conceptual. Direct as opposed to reasoning. This is what we need to learn. This is something standard. This is a very standard position. This is something unique of the Prasangika and standard position. Okay. Okay, let's do this again the next Sunday. Okay, any questions? We will sit for do some questions if you have. One or two questions? Yes, there's the Kavirila.
This is on the relation between conceptual and reasoning. Then are we saying that conceptual, because in a way conceptual indicates some sort of reasoning process is happening?
No. Conceptual, so that is according to the lower schools. According to lower schools, direct as opposed to conceptual. Conceptual means it has to go through indirect way, generic image. So that direct has a connotation not through generic image. Now Prasangika, direct as opposed to reasoning. Right? Reasoning means you are not seeing the object directly. The reasoning is in between. Reasoning is connect you to the object. So therefore direct, there are two connotations. One as understood by lower schools, one as understood by Prasangika.
But then Yashna, why have they used conceptual and non-conceptual in the example?
No, this is there. So the point is that, for example, my mind, any mind should be either conceptual or non-conceptual. What is conceptual? That remains, what is conceptual? That understanding conceptuality remains the same between Prasangika and the lower schools. So you can use these things because the mind is should be either conceptual or non-conceptual. What is the meaning of direct cognition? That differs between Prasangika and lower schools. What's conceptual? This is the same for Prasangika and lower schools. Any more questions? Yes, Amitaji?
I just want to clarify if I've understood it correctly. So that means I can have a direct valid cognition, like the second movement of inferential cognition, cognizing whatever, but before the second movement of inferential cognition comes, there will be the first movement of inferential cognition as well.
Yes.
Which will not be direct.
Yes.
So that means I can reach direct valid cognition even through a path which is non-direct or which is inferential.
Yes. In fact, this is the idea. So this is a good question. Say the one thing which is so beautifully said, is that finally gade parasambadi borse. That should happen. So how it happens, gade, right? How it happens is that it says begin with direct, and then proceed through inferential, then again go to direct. First direct and the second direct, there's a vast difference. First one, direct, means that, okay, with ordinary beings, how many of you are into Gati Gati? Some of you may be in Paragati, some may be in the first Gati. How many of you are in the first Gati? Or maybe it's in the second Gati then? Oh, no? Maybe Paragati then? Okay, that's same. Same, if we are someone who are yet to go to Gati Gati, which means that we are the beginners. When we are beginners, what are the common cognitions taking place in us? What common cognitions take place in us? The moment you wake up, what cognitions come to us? No, tell me, don't just say sense directly, just say in a very new sense. You remember what breakfast should I have?
Because the world around us, like
Huh?
the common things that are happening.
No, be very precise. Give me one example. Don't, Oh, what breakfast should I have? Oh, no, it's already 9 o'clock, I have to go to college. Right? Okay, I'm a little late, right? Okay, so there we see that, oh, I'm a little late. What will I have? What will I have for my breakfast? Right? I. So this I. And so this is one. I. And how does I appear? Objective real. Right? This is how we start the day. I, you, right? Okay, in some cases, Sunday mornings, maybe loud music by your neighbor. How dare this person doesn't even have the sense. This is only day that I can, say the what?
That house.
Oh no. Okay, I have to go to that house every Sunday. Okay, right. Okay, so the point is that we start like this. So direct cognition that we have is direct cognition of the self, direct cognition of breakfast, direct cognition of next meeting, what class that we have, and so forth, right? So these are direct cognition that we have. So now we see that, okay, then you come to the Tibet house, then you open this book, and we learn about self as a person, self as a phenomenon, and so forth. Or self as a person, what is self as a phenomenon? The person. That the person doesn't exist objectively, right? So the person that I'm talking about early morning, just I get up, I talk about, okay, what breakfast will I have, or I'm going to be late for my work, I have so many, deadlines, right? Always something hovering around this I. But what he's telling here is, this I doesn't exist objectively. It's very different. Okay. So now what we see is that we start by seeing that the direct cognition of the I. And then come into the class, then we learn that, oh, this I doesn't exist the way it appears to me as objective real. So this is empty of objective existence. So that's inferential or direct cognition? Inferential. So we first start from the direct cognition of the I. Then we move to the more profound subject. First direct cognition what? Very simple subject. Very obvious object. Obvious object as I. Then we go to inferential cognition, which tackles a subtle subject, not a simple subject. Subtle object, which is the emptiness of the self. This is just an example given. Then you say the study of the wisdom and emptiness of the self, reflection of the wisdom and emptiness of self. Then you get some conviction that yes, this I doesn't really exist the way it appears to me. Conviction. Then you practice it. Without practicing, if I practice this note I can see is so powerful. Now I can see the Mount Everest there, right? Now, simply by seeing the Mount Everest, I will never reach there. Now I've seen that. If I keep walking, 100% I'll reach there. I'll see Mount Everest with my bare hand. I can touch it. Okay, so this is the conviction that I gain. Then what do you do with this conviction? What do you do? Then you keep walking. Keep practicing. Okay, so with this practice, then you have the experience, the conceptual familiarity of the mind, so spontaneous, familiar with mind on the conceptual level. You practice further, you practice more. Then you see directly. right? Okay, so what happens? Initially we start with seeing the self as, seeing the self, direct cognition, seeing the self, direct cognition, seeing the objects with which I interact. We start with direct cognition. Then we move to the inferential cognition, right? Oh, the self is a person, sort of phenomena. And then you study about this, then it becomes inferential. After gaining study, reflection, conviction in the emptiness of the self, then you practice more. That is still on the conceptual level, inferential. Practice more, then it will become direct. So direct, inferential, direct. We start with direct of what? Direct cognition of the basic objects. Then we move to the inferential cognition of the subtle objects. Then we move to the direct cognition of the subtle objects. So gate, paragate. So there we start with the first, we enter the gate, we start with the direct cognition. Then in the process we go through the inferential cognition. Then we end with the direct cognition. Direct, inferential, direct. This is a process, right? This is very important. Yeah. Okay, any more questions? Maybe one question? Last question, if you have any. Yes, Dipeshla?
Well, Gishla, in the class we mentioned that subject-object can be established as different entities based on space. So what about mind observing the mind, like oneself meditating using mind as an object? There's no space there.
Let us articulate the question.
Okay, so
Let's say mind A perceiving another mind as externally real. Is this what he's saying?
mind A observing the mind A itself.
So
The same continuum.
So what is the question?
So in the class we said that subject and object, like specifically here, I think I don't see the contradiction, because here the statement says that they also accept external objects, but they maintain object and subject are established as different entities. So I'm just asking, related to that object and subject as different entities, one way to establish is having space between, physical space. So mind observing the mind, there's no physical space.
Question is not clear.
Okay.
You're getting it? The point, if your question can be like this. Okay, first let me put a question. Question must be very clear. Say, in the case of, say, the subject-object, the externality, for externality, what is described here by the author is that they maintain that the object and subject, they are seen as two different entities, right? And then I added that the two are seen with the space in between. If this is how the externality is seen, if this is how the, say, to be even more precise, if this is how
Entities are seen.
no. If this is how, say, object of negation, according to Chittamatra, how many versions are there? 3 versions are there. What is one? What is the third one? Seeing the object as the true referent of the label. Right? So, say for example, say my mind. I am thinking about your mind. I'm viewing your mind and I'm just checking what is going in your mind. So that we don't say that my mind is seeing external, the Vaishnava's mind is externally real. This is not what I would say. What I would say to my mind, the Vaishnava's mind appears as true referent of the label, the Vaishnava's mind. Right? So for external objects, for say for the flower, the flower, conventional what is called as flower, external flower, according to Chittamatra, there's no flower. So I see the flower as a true referent of the label flower. One. Then I see the flower as externally real. These two are actually the same thing. But for the mind, is it the same thing? That I see the mind as the true referent of the labeled mind, and I see the mind as externally a mind. Are these two same? So the answer is no. For the mind, we don't talk about the externality. So what is being discussed here is about the externality. Say Prasangika accepts externality because they maintain that the object and subject, these two are identified as two different entities. Right? So the question can be that to see the two things are two different identities. Is it necessary that there should be space in between? Is this what is required? Then if I say, my mind seeing your mind, don't say my mind seeing my mind. My mind seeing my mind, then of course the object and subject is the one. Whereas my mind seeing your mind, I don't see a space. Right? Space connotes physicality of the object, and the mind does not have the physicality. Right? But I see my mind when I see when I use my mind to see your mind. To see your mind, I see two minds with two different entities, but I don't see the space. Right? So the point is, although it is applicable to the physical objects such as the flowers, house, and so forth, is it applicable to the mind also? This is the question. My answer is no. In other words, to see the object subject as two different entities does not require to see the space between the two objects. With the physical objects, answer is yes. To see the but even with the physical object, this is also a question, not necessary. But what the Chittamatra is rejecting, or what the Chittamatra is trying to posit, absence of the externality, what the Prasangika is trying to posit, the externality, then the space is involved. Right?
I was more confused about meditation on the mind. From that perspective, the subject and object, they are entity-wise one as far as I thought. They're not different entities.
Then that is not an issue at all. So the question is, if the two things, object subject, is seen as two different entities, then I said that the space is required for the external objects. Whereas for the mind, right? In the first place, the object subject, these two are not. Anyway, this is a huge discussion, right? But in loose sense, we can say that the meditation on the awareness, my mind meditating on my mind. If that is what is happening, then the object and subject, these two are one. In which case, these two are not two different entities. And then where does the space comes in? Space discussion comes in only when you talk about the two entities. Right? Okay. Any other questions? Maybe last question?
A very small question. It was said that imprints are impermanent, so they fall in the non-associated composite phenomenon, or else?
This is a good question. Okay, did you follow the question? Imprints are permanent, impermanent. In Tibetan is pakchak. Imprints. Imprint means pakchak. 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 B-A-B-A-G. Pak, C-H-A-G. Pakchak. 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 Yeah. Pakchak is imprint. So imprints are impermanent or permanent? Impermanent. If the imprints are impermanent, it should necessarily fall under one of the three categories of impermanence. What are the three categories of impermanence? Form, mind, non-associated composite phenomena. Okay, so the imprints, is it a physical form? even the formless realm also have the imprints. So it's not a physical form. Is it a mind? It's not a mind, because mind is the active state, and the imprints is the dominant state of the mind. It's not the mind also. And for example, say the rubber band. Rubber band, you keep it like this, it cannot stretch. No, it is not stretched, but it has the potency to be stretched, right? When you keep it in its natural state, we don't see the potential of it as stretchable. But if you actually stretch it, it's stretchable, right? So that it has a potential to be stretched, but it is not seen unless you stretch it. It is not seen. It has a potential but not stretched. But stretch means you pull it apart and it should be stretchable. But it has potential, but it is not in the stretched form. It is a potential. So likewise, our mind, when we are ordinary beings, when we are very kind, compassionate, still we do have the imprint of anger, or they may not manifest. Only when it manifests, then we will say it's anger, right? When it's in form seed, we don't call it anger. It's the seed of anger. It's the imprint of anger. It's the parchak of anger. Yeah? So parchak of anger is not a mind. It's not a physical. It's not a mind. Automatically it falls under the third category. Right? Okay. Non-associated composite phenomena. Good. Very good question.
Can I ask a small
Yes.
question? So what is it that momentarily disintegrates in this non-associated composite phenomenon? Like whether it's the mere eye, what undergoes momentary?
No, give me, just be very precise. Mere eye is not the imprint.
No, of course not.
Then just pick one. I'll answer one. Mere eye or the imprint?
Mere eye.
Mere eye disintegrates. Mere eye, say, mere eye, the first moment of mere eye passes down to the second moment of mere eye. But the first moment of mere eye, the disintegratedness of the first moment exists in the second moment of the moment of the. So let's say, first moment of the mere eye, second moment of the mere eye. So mere eye, it flows to second moment of the mere eye. One. Number two. Along with the second moment of the mere eye, there is the disintegratedness of the first moment of the mere eye. Right? It's also there. Now, to make the disintegratedness, the concept of the disintegratedness more clear, let's say that, now, your mind is full of, your mind is very active. If your mind remains as active as what is happening now, when you're thinking, right? If your mind remains as active as what is happening now, guaranteed that you will not go through dementia. When you reach age 80, 90, you will not go through dementia. If your mind is this active, which is conventionally very unlikely for the people to have this kind of thinking, right? Because these thoughts are very different. And 99% of the people on this earth, of the 7 billion human beings, their mind is not active in this form. If they can acquire the skill of the activation of your mind in this form, when you reach 80, 90, guaranteed that you will not have dementia. Right? Okay, this is so precious. Now the point is that, let me say, that your mind is very active now, right? And then we go home. Okay, I'm a little tired. Okay, let me watch the television. And then we put on the television on. And then your active mind, what is happening now, it subsides. And the television advertisements, the marketing, all these things will come out like this, right? And our mind will go into, slide down into the mundane, very mundane thing. Okay, so then what happens to the active state of the mind? It does not go waste. It doesn't go waste. It goes into the imprint form. Now, let's say, first moment you're in Tibet house, second moment you're watching television in your house. 2. Of the 2, what happens is that, let's say like this, the very active, virtuous mind, and second one, very mundane thing, mind, there. say the first moment here, second moment here, what happens? That the mundane mind gets activated, and the virtuous, very, very actively virtuous mind, it subsides. So second moment, the mundane mind activates, and what happens to the virtuous mind? It subsides in the form of imprints. So now, during this mundane mind getting activated, the second moment, the imprint of the virtuous mind is activated. The imprint of the virtuous mind will be formed, meaning virtuous mind goes into the form of imprint. Number 2. Along with that, the virtuous mind, is it in an active state or a disintegrated state? It has already disintegrated. Number 3, right? Number 3, this virtuous mind is already disintegrated. So the disintegration exists. So this disintegration is having the full potency to activate the mind into a virtuous state the next Sunday. Then next Sunday you come again. I start like this, right? We don't have to start from day 1, right? So that disintegratedness has this potency. It has the full potential to just continue from the past class. Whereas if you keep a big gap, like 1 year, 2 years, then I'm not guaranteed if this disintegratedness becomes weaker, right? Okay, so it has this disintegratedness. This is something so unique of the Prasanga's presentation. So they are like saying, the next moment the non-virtuous mind arises, the previous virtuous mind will go into the form of imprint, and the previous virtuous mind has disintegrated, so the disintegratedness is also formed. So this disintegratedness of the previous mind is known as the pastness of the previous mind. So this pastness is impermanent because it is functional, because it functions. Anything which functions is impermanent. Impermanent and functional things, these two are synonymous. It's functional. In what way is functional? It functions to give rise to the next active virtuous mind when you come to Sunday next time. Right? Okay. So that is how the mind works. So this disintegratedness, according to lower schools, is permanent. It's not functional. According to Prasanga, this is functional. If you don't account for this, the way Prasanga presents, if you don't account for this, then anyone who does not accept this will be trapped in a contradiction when one particular debate is brought forth, one cannot give answer. Only you can give the answer only if you can accept the disintegratedness as functional. Right? There's a debate. So this will come when? Madhyamika Avatar, not now. Okay, we'll stop here. Yes.
What is the medium on which this imprint survives or abides?
The medium.
In these higher schools.
Okay, so what is the medium in this question? So the imprints, when we speak about the imprints, invariably it will take us to accept some form of medium. When we speak about the disintegratedness, this is beauty. When we speak about the disintegratedness, we don't have to look for a medium. Right? When we speak about disintegratedness, we don't have to look for a medium. When we speak about the imprints, automatically we have to speak about a medium. So this is where lower schools, they have to look for a medium. When they look for the medium of the imprints, and the imprints, dirty imprints, stale imprints of non-virtues, if the medium is there, the medium is also dirty. Right? The medium carrying these imprints, because imprints are, for example, if my cloth, it carries the dirty imprints of the mud, then it's not as clean, it's dirty. So there's one particular debate, which no hurry now, right? Don't try to look for this debate at the moment. So only when you reach to say about how the mind exists truly, how the mind does not exist truly, when this debate between the Chittapatra and Prasangika happens, then this question comes. And Prasangika throws one question about the medium of the imprint, right? Then the lower schools cannot answer. So this is where the Prasangika's presentation of disintegratedness to be functional, that will become prominent and meaningful, right? Okay, good.
Disintegratedness is synonymous with imprints?
No, imprints is okay. Okay, imprints are positive phenomena. Imprints per se is a positive phenomena, and disintegratedness is affirming negative, right? Don't forget it. Okay, these two are different. And as what Joyaji said, imprints, the moment this concept imprints comes to our mind, there should be some form of the basic framework or the medium on which the imprint is being carried. Medium, imprint, right? Imprint, autograph means imprint on where? On what? Imprint, print, footprint, where? On the what? Footprint where? On the floor. There should be some medium there on which the print. Without the medium, the print doesn't make any sense, right? So the imprint has that connotation. And whereas the disintegratedness does not necessarily have that connotation, right? And imprint per se is positive phenomena, and disintegratedness is affirming negative. Okay. Yes, the Bishla?
Related question. The last moment of the flame completely extinguishes. So what is affirmed in disintegration?
I told you, don't ask this question at the moment, right? Okay. Why I'm not giving the answer at the moment is it will only confuse us, right? At the moment, and some may be like the Bishtas, some may be already into this for the last 5 years, 6 years, 7 years, but there are so many people who are new and say invariably they will just go into more confusion, and then the number will drop, and then the whole purpose of the Knowledge Masters course is defeated, right? Okay. Yes.
So then disintegratedness refers to a moment of mind disintegrated.
It's not a mind. Okay, moment of mind disintegrated, this is what you're saying?
Yes.
Which one? A moment of mind?
Moment of mind.
Moment of mind or moment of disintegratedness of the mind? There are two things. Moment of the mind or the moment of disintegratedness of the mind. Which of the two?
A moment of mind which has disintegrated.
No. Moment of mind which is disintegrated, the moment of the mind. The mind is positive phenomena. Moment of the disintegratedness of the mind. This is affirming negative. Okay. And disintegratedness not necessarily should be tied with mind. It can be with any impermanent phenomena. Right? Now what is happening is disintegratedness of 2017 is going on now. Disintegratedness 2017 is going now. Right? 2018 disintegrated means you are in 2019. Okay. Okay, let's turn to page and direction prayer. Page 278. In the land encircled by snow mountains, you are the source of all happiness and good. All powerful chariots, Satans and Yazoo, please remain until samsara ends. Hari Rave Gorve Shingamsu Pendan Dewa Madu Chungwe Ne Jere Sewa Tenzin Gyasoi Shabe Zede Bardu Den Gyoroji
Just as the brave Manjushri and Samanthabhadra too realize things as they are, also I dedicate all these merits in the best way that I may follow their perfect example. Jambul Bhavu Chidara Kyambada Kundu Sambo Teyan Deshin Yada Gunge Jesu Dadu Chir Gyawa Dida Tamji Rabdu Mu. I dedicate all these rules of virtue with the dedication praised as the best by the victorious ones thus gone of the 3 times, so that I might perform the noble Bodhisattva's deeds. Tuzum Shebe Gyawa Tamjegi Ngowa Kana Chodo Mabadi Age Gewe Sawadi Gunkyan Sambo Chishirapu Movareki. May the Supreme Bodhicitta that is not arisen, arise and grow, and may that which is arisen not diminish but increase forevermore. Chanju Samjo Rinpoche Bhaje Banam Ge Guruji Keba Nyamba Mebayam Kone Kondo Pebarisho. As long as space remains, as long as sentient beings remain, until then may I too remain to dispel the miseries of the world. Due to the merits of these virtuous actions, may I quickly attain to the state of Guru Buddha and lead all beings without exception into that enlightened state. I dedicate the merits thus gathered towards the realization of the deeds and the praise of all the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas of the 3 times, and to the upholding Dharma of the teaching and realization. May in all lives, through the force of this merit, never separate from the 4 wheels of the Mahayana vehicle, and accomplish all the stages of the path, renunciation, bodhicitta, perfect in the 2 stages. With a wish to free all beings, I shall all go for refuge to the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha until I reach full enlightenment. Inspired by wisdom and compassion, today in the Buddha's presence, I generate mind of full awakening for the benefit of all sentient beings. I go for refuge to the Triple Gem. I confess the negativities individually. I rejoice in the virtues of all the beings, all the precious Buddha in my heart. The path of unity and emptiness compassion is loosely explained by the protector of both the Dharma and the beings of the Snow Land. You are the lotus soul that Tenzin Gyatso, we supplicate you that your wishes are fulfilled spontaneously. Tonyi Ninja Sundo Chobelam, Chejir Sense Kanje Tendregu, Chana Bemo, Tenzin Gyatso, So the Zojindu Lundro Show. May the operations of evil thoughts and deeds of the negative forces of humans and non-humans who harbor malice through perverted prayers against the teachings of the Buddhas be totally vanquished through the part of the truth of the 3 rituals. Alam lo ve geve den bala kuve najo sujin sumin. Gembe juba maleba chosum dembe zeni ju yuroji. In all my lives, never separated from perfect gurus, may I enjoy the magnificent Dharma by completing the qualities of the stages of the past. May I quickly attain the state of Vajradhara. Throughout my future lifetimes, may I always be guided by Manjushri and be able to uphold the Dharma in general and the teachings of dependent origination in particular, even in the course of my life. Okay, good night.